organ systems involved in digestion is our next topic. Organ systems involved in digestion is our next topic, and we are starting right away. The digestive system consists of the GI tract or digestive tract. GI means gastrointestinal tract. So anywhere in this topic you see the GI tract, we are referring to the gastrointestinal tract. So as said earlier, the digestive system consists of the gastrointestinal tract or digestive tract. Apart from that, it also consists of the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. The gastrointestinal system or GI tract is a tube that stretches from the mouth to the anus and is lined with several different hollow organs. The digestive system consists of the oral cavity, which is the mouth, the esophagus, which is also called the gullet, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, and the anus, all of which are tube-like organs. The digestive system's solid organs are the liver, pancreas, and the gallbladder. One can divide the small intestine into three sections. The first section is the duodenum, and is the first section. The jejunum and ileum are located at its beginning and end, respectively. The appendix, cecum, colon, and rectum are all components of the large intestine. A finger-shaped pouch connected to the cecum is called the appendix. As the first section of the large intestine, the cecum plays an important role in digestion. Proceed to the colon. The last section of the large intestine is called the rectum. Gut flora. What is the flora of the gut? Gut flora is also known as the microbiome, that is, the microorganisms that are present in the gut, and it consists of bacteria that aid in digestion of food. The national NIH external link nervous and circulatory systems also contribute. The food and drink that we consume every day are broken down into smaller molecules by a complex system of nerves, hormones, bacteria, blood, and digestive organs. Importance of digestion. What is the importance of digestion? Nutrients from food and drinks are vital to our body's proper functioning and maintaining of our health, and this makes digestion a priority. Nutrients include proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water. The digestive system processes food into smaller pieces that the body can absorb and use for things like growth and repair. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Carbohydrates into simple sugars, fatty acids, and glycerols from fats. To be absorbed, nutrients must be broken down by the digestive system into smaller and smaller pieces. How does the digestive system work? The working process of the digestive system is what we want to look at this time. Each digestive organ either aids in the transportation of food and drink through the digestive tract or aids in the breakdown of these substances into smaller pieces. When food is digested into smaller pieces, the body is better able to absorb the nutrients and transport them to where they are most needed. Water is absorbed by the large intestine, and the byproducts of digestion are expelled as stool. The digestive system is under the control of nerves and hormones. The digestive process, the organ, and the movement that take place in the digestive process is shown in this table. The organ is the mouth. The process that takes place in the mouth is the chewing of food. The esophagus, also called gullet, then peristalsis takes place in the esophagus. In the stomach, we have the upper muscle in stomach, which relaxes to let food enter, and lower muscle mixes food with digestive juice. In the small intestine, peristalsis also occurs, just as it occurs in the esophagus. In the pancreas, no activity occurs in the pancreas, no movement. Then in the liver also there is no movement. In the large intestine, peristalsis also occurs. Now we want to look at how food moves through the gastrointestinal tract. That already has been shown in the table above that we looked at, the organ and the movement. But here we are going to discuss how the food moves through the gastrointestinal tract. Peristalsis is a terminology that we use that happens in the esophagus, small intestine, and large intestine. Hence, we need to know what peristalsis means before we go on. Peristalsis is the process by which food is pushed through the digestive tract. Muscle linings allow large hollow organs of the digestive system to move. By moving up and down, left and right, the contents of the digestive tract are thoroughly mixed, and the food and liquid are pushed through the system. By contracting, the muscle behind the food forces it forward, while the muscle in front of the food relaxes, allowing it to slide. The moment food enters the mouth, digestion begins. So what happens in the mouth? After being consumed or eaten, food begins making its way through the digestive system. The tongue plays a key role in the swallowing process by directing food down the pharynx. To avoid choking, the epiglottis, a small flap of tissue, closes over the windpipe before food enters the esophagus or esophagus. In some cases where any part of the food or water enters the windpipe, coughing action takes place, serious coughing, which tends to expel the particle of food or water that is trying to enter the windpipe. What happens in the esophagus? The act of swallowing is completely automatic. Once it has begun, peristalsis begins when the brain sends a signal to the muscles of the esophagus. Stomach muscle that prevent food from going down the wrong pipe. Lower esophageal sphincter is a ring-shaped muscle that relaxes to allow food to enter the stomach at the end of the esophagus. This sphincter normally remains closed, preventing stomach contents from entering the esophagus. In the stomach, what happens in terms of digestive process? When digesting food, digestive juices are mixed with the food and liquid by the stomach's muscular lining. Stomach contents, known as chyme, are gradually released into the small intestine. What happens in the stomach during digestion is what we are addressing at the moment. What happens in the stomach during digestion is what we are addressing at the moment. When digesting food, the digestive juices are mixed with the food and liquid by the stomach's muscular lining. Stomach contents, known as chyme, are gradually released into the small intestine. Now we are moving on to what happens in the small intestine during the digestion of food. The food is mixed with digestive juices from the pancreas, from the liver, and from the small intestine, and the food is then pushed forward by the small intestine's muscles. Water and the digested nutrients are absorbed by the intestinal lining and then transported to the bloodstream. As digestion proceeds, waste products are carried into the large intestine by peristalsis. We have already discussed and described what peristalsis is earlier. What happens in the large intestine during digestion of food? Undigested food and dead cells from the gastrointestinal tract lining are all byproducts of digestion. The waste is converted into stool by absorbing water in the large intestine. The bowel movement, known as peristalsis, aids in the transport of the stool into the rectum. Now, we want to look at what happens to the food or undigested food in the rectum. During a bowel movement, waste is stored in the rectum at the large intestine's lower end before being pushed out through the anus. We are moving on to the digestive system. Break food into small parts the body can use. In order to prepare food for absorption, the digestive organs use mechanical means such as chewing, squeezing, and mixing to break down food, acid, bile, and enzymes found in the stomach, along with other digestive juices. So, in the mouth, what is it that happens? The digestive system breakdown. Now, the initial thing we looked at, looking at the digestive systems, we look at how food moves from the mouth to the anus, and we see that undigested food is thrown out, is packed from the large intestine into the rectum, and is compiled there, is packaged there, ready to be thrown out through the anus, and that process is called digestion and not excretion, as we have said before. Now, this next point we are looking at is how the digestive system breaks down food into small parts that the body can use. When the body can use the food we are talking about, it is referred to as absorption. If the body uses it, it is referred to as absorption. And that is why we said, in order to prepare food for absorption, digestive organs use mechanical means such as chewing, squeezing, and mixing to break down food, acid, bile, and enzymes found in the stomach, along with other digestive juices. Now, what happens in the mouth? Chewing food is the first step in the digestive process. Saliva is a digestive juice processed by the alimentary canal, by the salivary glands, that helps move food down the esophagus and into the stomach. Starch is also broken down by an enzyme in saliva. What happens in the esophagus in terms of absorption of food? Peristalsis occurs after swallowing and helps move food from the esophagus to the stomach. In the stomach, what happens? Acid and enzymes needed for digestion are produced by the glands in the stomach lining. The stomach's muscles work to incorporate these enzymes juices into the food being digested. In the pancreas, digestive juices containing enzymes that metabolize carbohydrates fast. In the pancreas, Digestive juices containing enzymes that metabolize carbohydrates, fats, and proteins is produced by the pancreas. Small tubes called ducts carry digestive juice from the pancreas to the small intestine. What happens in terms of digestion and absorption in the liver? Bile is a digestive juice produced by the liver that is used to break down fats and even some vitamins. The gallbladder and the small intestine both benefit from bile produced in the liver, which is transported there through bile ducts. In the gallbladder, between meals, bile is stored in the gallbladder. When a meal is eaten, the gallbladder empties its content of bile into the small intestine via the bile duct. So from here you can see that liver produces the bile, and the bile is stored in the gallbladder. When the bile is not used in digestion, it is stored in the gallbladder. When it is needed, it will come out from the gallbladder and be used. It will be produced in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. When it is time to use it, it will come from the gallbladder and it will be used for its purpose. Now, what happens in the small intestine in terms of digestion and absorption of food is what we want to look at next. Digestion of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats is completed by digestive juice produced in the small intestine, which combines with bile and pancreatic juice. Some of the enzymes necessary to break down carbohydrates are produced by bacteria in the small intestine. The small intestine is responsible for transporting water from the bloodstream into the digestive system, where it aids in the digestion of food. Water and other nutrients are absorbed together in the small intestine, large intestine. More water is absorbed into the bloodstream from the digestive system in the large intestine. Vitamin K is produced by bacteria in the large intestine, which also aid the digestion of the remaining nutrients. Stool is the byproduct of digestion and may contain undigested food particles that are still too big. What happens to the digested food is the next thing we want to look at now. Most of the nutrients in food are absorbed. I like that word, absorbed, absorption. I want you to take that word seriously. When the food is used, it is called absorption. When food is used by the body, it is referred to as absorption. So that is what happens to digested food. Food that is digested is going to be absorbed. Most of the nutrients in food are absorbed by the small intestine. Take note, it is the small intestine that does the absorption, and then transported by the circulatory system to the rest of the body for storage or use. Nutrients that are absorbed are transported across the intestinal lining by specialized cells. The liver receives nutrients from the blood, including simple sugars, amino acids, glycerol, and a few vitamins and mineral salts. When nutrients are needed elsewhere in the body, they are stored in the liver, where they are processed and then sent out to the cells. When the body is fighting an infection, it relies on the lymph system, NIH-external link, a network of vessels that transport white blood cells and a fluid called lymph throughout the body. The lymph system also helps the body absorb fatty acids and vitamins. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerols are used to construct substances that provide energy, promote growth, and repair cells in the body. Control of the digestive process by the body. How does the body control digestive process? That is what we are looking at next. Hormones and nerves coordinate to help digestion to keep digestion under control. There is communication both within digestive system and between the. There is communication both within the digestive system and between the gut and the brain. So this communication makes the digestive process to go on as it ought to. So the gut knows exactly what is expected to be done based on the signal coming from the brain. So now we want to look at what is the role of hormones that are involved in digestion process. Digestive process is regulated by hormones, and they are produced and released by cells lining the stomach and small intestine. Hormones like this signal the brain when one is hungry or full, and they also control the production of digestive juices. The pancreas produces digestive hormones that play an integral role in the digestive process. Now we want to look at the role of nerves. Some digestive functions are regulated by the brain and spinal cord, which are part of the central nervous system. The brain, for instance, can send a signal to the salivary glands to make the mouth water when it detects the presence of food through the senses of sight or smell. In addition to the brain and spinal cord, humans have what is known as an enteric nervous system, which consists of nerves located along the intestinal mucosa. The enteric nervous system's nerves secrete a cocktail of chemicals in response to the pressure exerted by food against the gastrointestinal tract lining. These chemicals can either hasten or slow down the digestive process. The nerves send signals to the gut muscles, telling them when to contract and relax so that food can be moved along the digestive tract. This is where we draw the curtain as regards this topic. It has been a long one, and we have to take them one after the other. So in this topic, we have looked at the structure and function of carbohydrates, and then we went on to look at the structure and function of fats. We also went on to look at the structure and the function of proteins. Then we went on to look at the food tests, how we can test for the presence of carbohydrates in the food, presence of starch, and presence of reducing sugar. We also look at how we can test for the presence of fat, also called lipids. We also look at how we can test for the presence of proteins. We also looked at the organ systems involved in digestion, as I've done now. I will suggest and advise that you practice all this and try to answer questions on them so that you can be well prepared for the forthcoming examination. I have done this so that we can be able to get the best from it. I am supposed to use Zoom, but Zoom cannot be recorded. When it's recorded, it is quite heavy to download, and that's why I've done this. When we meet physically, we'll take questions and comment from you. And if you have any question and comment, you know the channel that you can use to get across to me to ask your question and your comments. Definitely, we shall see face to face very soon. And if you still have questions and comments, feel free to ask them in the comment section of this YouTube channel. I'm going to talk to you some other time. All the best as you prepare for your exam. Bye for now.